This past Monday, I hiked the Grouse Grind again with 4 young guys here from the parish. And one of my favorite things about doing the Grouse Grind, one of the actual reasons I've done it so much this summer, is that I get to eat a huge meal after with friends. There's really something special about hiking a mountain, doing something great with friends, and then you get to sit down to a meal and devour some delicious food. And although our normal spot is to go to Five Guys restaurant, this time we did something special. We went to Sushi Umi, a top-rated spot in North Van. And as we looked at the menu, one of the special rolls was called the Grouse Mountain Roll. You could think of it pretty much as a California roll on steroids. It's topped with a whole bunch of stuff, including torched spicy salmon, deep-fried yam flakes. And we had just come from Grouse Mountain, so we thought God must want us to eat this special roll. So of course we got it, and of course it was delicious. In fact, the whole meal was really a taste of heaven. And as some of the plates were getting taken away, I found myself a little bit sad that the delicious meal was coming to an end. I found myself grabbing for some of the leftover deep-fried yam flakes, looking to see if I could scrape off any remains from the other plates before they were taken away forever, hoping just to extend the delight of this meal for as long as I could. And when the meal was over and every plate was taken away, I was a little bit sad. I wanted more. I wished the meal could go on forever. And right in that moment of sadness, when the meal was over, when pleasure is over, when any pleasure is over, and we desire more, whether that's myself looking at an empty sushi plate being taken away and wanting more food to extend the delight of that meal for as long as possible, or for yourself, maybe something else. Maybe it's looking again and again on social media to seeing who commented on your recent Instagram posts about your vacation, desiring to feel popular and admired by other people. Or it's looking on Amazon, bargain shopping, hoping to just purchase that next thing to feel secure and happy for today. Whatever it might be, right in that moment of sadness when pleasure is over, we desire more. Christopher West, he says, we feel like there are just two options. Two options for how we can respond to that sadness and the desire for more pleasure. The first option is represented by this, an empty plate from my kitchen. The second option is represented by this, a Happy Meal from McDonald's. So the first option is this empty plate. Christopher West calls this the starvation diet gospel. The starvation diet gospel simply says there's a message. It proclaims a message that pleasure is something bad. You got to just say no to it. And so the holy response, to be holy, you just got to sweep pleasure off the plate, away from your heart, just say no and hope it goes away. This is often what we present the Catholic faith to be growing up, a starvation diet gospel. We starve ourselves from pleasures in this life, whether that's saying no to the desire for more sushi, or no to the desire to be admired on Instagram, scroll through your feed, or no to the desire for more possessions in your life. We often think Catholic morality is just this, one long list of no's, sweeping everything away from our hearts when we desire pleasure. But as we stare at this empty plate and we begin to feel the ache for more pleasure, the words of Bruce Springsteen start to slowly arise from our hearts. Everybody's got a hungry heart. Everybody's got a hungry heart. Father Hamilton could sing along with me. Lay down your money and you play your part. Everybody's got a hungry heart. Yes, everybody, all of us, we have hungry hearts. We do. And the hunger for more pleasure in this life, combined with the culture we live in, happiness is just, one click away. It makes it so easy for us to reject the starvation diet gospel and buy into a different gospel, which is what? The fast food gospel. The fast food gospel represented by this Happy Meal, which is the culture's answer to the desires of our heart, to the hunger we have inside of us for more. Eat this Happy Meal and you'll be happy right here, right now. Immediate gratification through the indulgence of pleasure. That's what the culture presents to us for our hearts. And that's why the culture is winning so many converts away from the starvation diet gospel. And it's becoming so attractive for us more and more. So I don't know about you, but when I feel like there's only two options in my life, starvation diet gospel, the empty plate, or the fast food gospel, the Happy Meal, what do you think? I'll choose. Can you smell the warm fries yet? It's good. I'm going for the Happy Meal. And that's been the story of my life for so often. Going to the Happy Meal, immediate gratification of desire. So that's what's won out often in my life. How about you? Which one is winning out in your life? The starvation diet gospel or the fast food gospel? Which one has won out in your life? A better question is not which one has won out, but since the fast food gospel has won out in your life, the real question is, what is your happy meal? What is your happy meal? Ever since Adam and Eve grasped at that first happy meal in the Garden of Eden, our hearts have become like McDonald's restaurants. They're open 24/7, if you didn't know, continually producing new happy meal combinations all the time to promise to satisfy our hungry hearts. Right? For myself, the combination might be sushi on Monday, popularity on social media on Tuesday, purchasing stuff on Amazon I don't need on Wednesday. You can fill in the rest. How about you? What's your happy meal combination? All of us have one. The reality is that when you go to the Happy Meal, we buy into a lie. Do you know what the lie is? What's the lie that you buy into? The lie is that the satisfaction of our hearts is up to us. That's the lie we buy into. The satisfaction of my hungry heart is up to me. God won't satisfy, so I need to do it myself. That's the lie. Thankfully, Jesus knows this lie. Jesus knows that our hearts are like McDonald's restaurants, continually coming up with new combinations for Happy Meals all the time. Jesus knows that when we do that as well, have you watched the movie Super Size Me? You know, the guy who eats at McDonald's every meal for 30 days, and he's literally dying by the end of it? Well, that's what happens when our souls are continually going to the fast food gospel, trying to satisfy our hungry hearts. Jesus knows that when we binge on the fast food gospel, all it leads to is sickness, addiction, and eventually despair. So that's why Jesus challenges us today. He challenges us today both to not just settle with the starvation diet gospel, he challenges us for a path of glory today. He challenges us to discipleship, which costs everything. And at the same time, Jesus invites us to give up the fast food gospel. He says, you must give up all of your possessions, everything that you cling to be my disciple. He doesn't just leave us at that, right? He invites us to something in the midst of it. He invites us to a third way. And so, for a third way, I have this. This is an invitation card. It's an invitation card. So to explain this, I want to tell you more of my story. Back to the sushi. Remember that grouse mountain roll? So at the end of our meal, there was one piece left. And as we all stared at that last piece, wondering who was going to take it, Catholic guilt, I could just sense on the other guys' faces as well, was arising up. No one wanted to take it, but everyone really wanted to take it. But for myself, I'm allergic to fish and shellfish, so obviously I could be the holy guy, and I say as a half joke, I will eat the last roll in heaven. One of you guys could take it now. Tyler, though, the theologian among us, said, Father Richard, there are no more last roles in heaven. There are no more last roles in heaven. In that moment, Tyler was inviting us to something else. He was inviting us to remember, to realize that there is a meal in heaven, a banquet that awaits us of eternal Grouse Mountain rolls. If you didn't know, that's going to be my first meal in heaven. So Tyler was inviting me to lift my mind and heart from, no, I don't just have to say no to the starvation diet gospel and say, okay, Richard, no, don't think about eating anymore. I didn't have to give in to the fast food gospel of just saying, okay, I just need to starve. I just need to fill my heart with more and more, trying to satisfy the hungry heart. No, I could be invited to think about the eternal banquet that awaits me, something that actually will satisfy my heart. I could turn my hungry heart into a prayer of longing for more, to what Jesus wants to do, and Jesus, the master sushi chef, will prepare that Grouse Mountain roll for me in heaven, and there will be no more last rolls. If you didn't know, he is a sushi chef. This invitation card is actually something real. It's an invitation to an actual meal. Do you know what this meal is? It's free, but it's not cheap. Somebody, and you might know who it is, paid a big price for this meal. It's an invitation to Alpha. Today, registration begins for Alpha. What's Alpha, Father Richard? Great question. Didn't think you would ask. Alpha, one way to think about it, is an 11-week program here at the Parish Center in which first you get to share a meal with friends. And then when the pleasure of the meal is over and you start to desire more and the hungry heart for more in life comes up, you get to watch a video which talks about the big questions of life, that there might be something more in life. And after you watch that video, you get to, in a free, open, friendly context, share about what you think about that something more in life might actually be. You get to turn from the delight of the shared meal together to think about heaven, the invitation for really something more that awaits us. So, you might ask, well, is Alpha for me? Another great question, Father Richard. Alpha is for those who have been living the starvation diet gospel and who want to awaken their hungry hearts for more in life. They want to actually start to ask those big questions and think there must be more in life. I want more passion. I want more joy. I want more happiness. I don't want to just say no to everything and think that that's the fullness of Christianity. You're right. There is more. And Alpha is also for those who have been living the fast food gospel, and you're kind of sick from what the culture provides as the fullness of life. You're kind of sick from the happy meals that you're making up all the time to satisfy your hungry heart. Amen. There is something more, and it's something delicious. It's something beautiful. It's something that God made for us. So Alpha is for everyone. Myself included, I took Alpha in seminary. I loved it, and I'm taking it again on September 28th. And at the end of this Mass, Peter Lee will tell you more about how to register and more about Alpha. But because this is Mass, I want to invite you to something right here, right now. You don't have to wait for September 28th, 6 p.m. My brothers and sisters, the entire reason God became man was to save us from the lie that the satisfaction of our hungry hearts is up to us. I'll say that again. It's so important for us to realize the entire reason Jesus came was to save us from the lie that the satisfaction of our hungry hearts is up to us. The entire reason Jesus instituted the Mass on Holy Thursday was to give us a place to bring our hungry hearts for more in life. And the entire reason Jesus is going to give himself to you, body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist, is because God, the infinite one, wants to become like a little piece of bread, so that he can satisfy your hungry heart for more in life right here, right now at this Mass. Because everybody's got a hungry heart. Myself, yourself, everybody has a hungry heart. And our hearts are hungry until they're fed on God alone.